Hey everybody, and welcome back to the How to Use YinYang Indicators series. Today we'll be discussing the YinYang Fear and Greed Index indicator. So as you can see, we got it loaded up here. So what this indicator does is it basically shows you levels of fear and greed within the price ranges and stuff like that. So there's an old saying, it's basically, you want to be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. So the actual level of the Fear Greed Index, or FGI, is this line here, the one that gets colored in, and the yellow line here that it's making these different formations with is its moving average. So like with most types of oscillators, you will see it is more bullish when it crosses over it, and bearish when it crosses under it. And you can easily just see if it's in the bullish or bearish state just by looking at it like this is bullish, that's bearish. Just, crossed above, crossed under. Its levels are important, but the most important part is when the actual signals appear for high levels of greed or fear, and they are based on individual candles. So this candle here showed high levels of greed, likewise with this one here. This one here was a high level of fear, and so on and so forth. And then the height obviously matters too. Like when it's got right here on this exact greed symbol here, we had 97 for the fear greed index, which is really high. So it's basically, I wouldn't use it by itself to make purchases for buying and selling, but it is good to know how people are feeling in there. When you combine this with, RSI, like specifically our RSI, with volume, with our YinYang B oscillator, with our YinYang A price and trend analysis, you can get a real good idea of when is a good time to get out or potentially even start a short, and when a good time to buy or end a short is, or start a long. So, like, for instance, these symbols here, yeah, you're getting a lot of fear and greed in here. You could go off them, but it's generally, like with most things, it's best to go, you want the level to be at a certain height or a certain depth, and then you want a signal too. So just going in on the signal might not be as good as if the levels are in the wrong spot. Like these levels are all ranging right in the middle. That doesn't mean they're not important, but they aren't as important as if they were above 70 or less than 30. So we just look here. For instance, if you were to start a short here, so that you'd be at 22,800, and let's just pretend like you stayed in that you're just trading signals where if the signal was above 70 and you got the greed indicator, it started a short, and vice versa if it was below 30 and you got the fear signal, maybe you ended the short, or you ended the short and started a long. Well, let's see how that would work out on here. You start in at 22,000, I think you said 800 if give or take, obviously. And then on here, you would have ended it at 20,500 give or take and started long, which you would have ended right here at 27,200, and you would have just stayed there and did nothing. If this was the type of automated trading system or just a manual trading system you were doing, that you had alerts based on that would just tell you to go in and place your own trades for however much you wanted. We hadn't got a fear symbol below 30 or even at all down in this area, so we would have just sat here and did nothing, and then we would have placed a long here at 26,500, and we would just be sitting contently right now waiting. We could expand this further back and even look, like if you had started a short here, which is where it would have, That would have been at about 30,000, and then you would have ended it here, which would have been about the same. So that one would have been a loss, unfortunately. But nothing is going to be perfect. And I just want to discuss, what does it mean when you get a greed symbol and it's below 30? So that, in my opinion, can sometimes be even stronger or just a fake out than a greed symbol above. The reason why is that if the fear-greed index is already low and people are already fearful, meaning they're not really wanting to buy, and a lot of people are already have been panic selling for quite a while at this point, and now you have a greed symbol come up. Well, it's 100% plausible for fear to come up here. And sorry, I even got those ones wrong. I accidentally did them backwards, so that wouldn't have even been a trade. But yeah, it's possible for them to be vice versa. I mean, when there's greed, even at a low level, and as you can see, the greed happened here, and it did end up dropping. And then the fear happened this is pretty high right here, but it went up. This one, the fear happened here, and I mean, it kind of just went horizontal for a while, and before the greed happened here, and then it dropped down again, even though it's low. So it's the signals that are important. The levels that it's at are important too, because it gives you an idea of where to go in and what to go in at. But it's more or less like you want, like, a greed is strong up here when it's above 70, and it's also strong when it's below 30. Anything in between, it's kind of willy-nilly. I mean, I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's more the extremes that you're looking for when you get the signals, and vice versa. Like when it's super high with the fear, that's also, could still be a very good entry, just as similar as when it's really low with the fear. It can also be a really good entry point. So you just got to take that into account when you're looking at stuff. It's not always just looking for it being above 70 with the greed, for instance. It could also be below 30 with the greed, and that's still a good time to get out or start a short. Now, these information tables on the right, so they can be adjusted to whatever time frames you wish to look at, and they simply tell you what the fear-greed index at that current level is. And you might be wondering, what is the orange, the green, the red, and it's like a bluish teal type of color. Well, so the green for these tables, likewise with the colors on your fear-greed index itself, represents it's in a state of greed. So green is greed. So this whole area here, even though as it goes down, it's still in greed. When it's red, like a dark red like that, and right here, it's in a state of fear. When it's orange, it means it's not in a state of anything. It's just in a neutral state, but it's below a fear-greed index of 50, so it's still slightly fearful. And the blue/teal on here and in here means it's also neutral, but it's above 50 for the fear-greed index, so it's in a slight state of greed. And yeah, I don't know to be mentioned, but yeah, the orange here correlates with the orange on here too. So, and sometimes you'll see it happen where you'll get a fear symbol, and then very quickly it's neutral. And usually what that means is that price changes have occurred drastically after that signal has happened. So we had a fear signal here at 20,400, for instance, and then the next bar we're already up almost $1,500 in that one day, and so it's no longer in a state of fear because a little bit of greed already started hitting it. And then you can see it went pretty greedy pretty quickly and rose all the way up pretty much in 2 days there to 72, and we got a greed symbol quite quickly because it went from 20,400, 20,500 all the way to 27,300 in just about 10 days or so. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, so it does do a good job of gauging that, and yeah, you can just adjust these to however you want inside of here. There isn't actually much customization to the graphical user interface of the fear-greed index for ours. It's basically just whether or not you want to see information tables and then what resolution you want them to be on. And all right, I think we will conclude our tutorial on how to use our fear-greed index there. If you haven't already purchased our indicators, a link to our website and how to purchase them will be in our description. And if you haven't also joined our Discord, please do so. There will be a link in the description also and on our website. And when you sign up, you'll get an email with a link too. In there, you there people post their affiliate codes where you can get a bonus 5% off, and we'll post a coupon code for 5% off in our YouTube description there too. So as always, if you have any questions, feel free to message us on Discord, create a support ticket on our website, or simply message us here on YouTube comments. All right, and that concludes this. So have yourself a great day. Thanks for watching, and happy trading.